Hello, everybody. This is Cody Bateman. Welcome to a new edition of our relationship marketing podcast. We're excited today for the guest that we have on. Before I introduce her, I'd just like to reach out to all of you listeners and share my appreciation to all of you for your desire to learn new things. Hashtag relationship marketing. If you do that, you're going to see all kinds of stuff out there on the subject of relationship marketing. And certainly we've got a whole bunch of stuff on that hashtag, and it's a new thing. And we like to think that it's a thing, if done right, can really change your life, change the world that you live in, and change your sales, change your bottom line, change your return on investment, help you in those areas. But most importantly, above all those things, just change your life for better. Relationship marketing is about the first word way more than the second word. Now, marketing's important and it's cool and it's great, and you ought to make a ton of money selling stuff to people and all that. That's cool. But relationships are everything. Relationships are what it's all about. And the guest that we have on today, she's all about that. Again, I've been there, done that person who not only preaches the stuff, she walks the talk. She's been highly successful in the sales arena for many, many years. And she's gone on to be one of the top trainers in the world, best-selling author, incredible, funny speaker. So please help me welcome Miss, the one and only, Shari Levitin. How you doing, Shari?
I'm so good, Cody Bateman. I was just saying I just finished reading your book and I fell in love with you and I don't even know you.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'll tell you the reason why is there was so much alignment. In fact, those of you watching on YouTube, I'm just gonna put
No, no, hey,
Sharon's
hey,
book up.
hey.
Yeah, you can do yours, so we can
Look at
both do
that.
it at the same time. So about a month ago, I finished your book. I've got it all underlined, and just the title alone. I mean, the title alone, "Heart and Cell." The title of my book, "Power of Human Connection." Your book, "Heart and Cell." Obviously, there's some synergies just even in the title. And you go on to say 10 universal truths every salesperson needs to know. Not only have I read your book, Shari, but I've had a chance to see you in action. Recently attended the Outbound Conference, and you were putting on a workshop there. I was sitting at the back of the room. I don't even know if you know I was there, but I'll tell you, it was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch you in action and how you interacted with your audience. Just incredible stuff. The thing I like most about Shari is she's just very down to earth and fun. You know, you're not one of those serious people. You like to have a good time, which is nice. So
Well, life's too short not to enjoy it. And I think, we've lost a lot of that and we lose a lot of that when we're connected 24/7. When you were doing your opening, Cody, I couldn't help but think my mother's about to turn 85 years old in
right.
August. And she said something the other day I thought was great. She's on Facebook, she's digitally connected. She's an incredible woman. She published 40 books, by the way.
Wow.
She's my inspiration. And you know what she said? She went to the hospital a couple of months ago. She says, I love that I got 900 Facebook friends, but none of them brought me chicken soup when I was sick. Because I need somebody who's going to bring me chicken soup. I need a real friend, a real relationship.
Boy, I tell you what, I mean, like the message of that alone,
Yeah, right.
that alone, especially in our social media world, the message of that alone. Let me do a proper introduction here. I want to make sure our listeners can tune in to who you are. Shari began as a star sales performer in hospitality, which is interesting. I want to talk a little bit about the whole hospitality industry because that's not easy selling. That's not easy selling, and that's where you got your start. 1996, she founded the Shari Levitin Group to share her proven techniques. As the founder of the Shari Levitin Group, she's helped create over $1 billion in increased revenue for companies in over 40 countries. The Shari Levitin Group continues to passionately inspire transformative change. I've had a chance to see that firsthand. She is energetic, wickedly funny. I like this little bio that we've had her. It's so true. And help sales teams bridge the gap between beating quota and selling with an authentic, heartfelt approach. She's the best-selling author of Heart and Sell, 10 Universal Truths Every Salesperson Needs to Know. I highly, highly recommend this book. Like I mentioned in the pre-show, I've got a stack of 20 sales books I've read over the last 2 months. This one's at the very top of the list, and I just highly recommend anybody in the field of sales or marketing, or even wants to learn what relationship marketing is about. You got to read this thing. It's really, really good. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get to some true Shari Levitin stuff. So heart and sell. I mean, let's just start there. Heart and sell. Like, what are you talking about? What does that mean?
Well, I think one of the most difficult things for a sales rep, it's actually got two meanings, so I'll go into both. One of the most difficult things for a sales rep is most people in sales like people. They genuinely do like people. Great reps are curious. They want to build an authentic connection. They have empathy. But then the question becomes, how do I balance this love of people and knowing that I need to create these great relationships with, on the other hand, my need to make a living and provide a living for my family or myself or whoever. So it's this tension between heart and authenticity and having the courage really to roll up your sleeves and get the sale. So, it can be tough.
It can be tough. And this is, here's what's interesting. It's kind of catching on now. It's really kind of catching on that, listen, we're the days of the hard pitch, the super sales pitch, closing techniques, we're going to get the deal done no matter what kind of sales. It's just those days are gone. I mean, they're just gone. You have to show authenticity today. You've got to show that you genuinely care today. People do only do business with those they know, like, and trust. And it's catching on. I mean, people are getting it, but at the same time, I see that people can't figure out the balance, because it's like, it's almost, they go too far the other way. Okay, well, I'll just go be your buddy now. I'm just gonna go be your buddy forever, and send you a card to tell you how cool you are, but I'm never gonna get into the sales approach. And I see that all the time with salespeople that catch on to this. They go extreme the other way. So how do you teach people to get to the balance?
Well, it's a matter of, that comes down to really following a sales process. And I always say, a lot of people think, oh, process, that's going to ruin my authenticity. But if you think about it, any professional has a process. A pilot has a pre-flight checklist. He or she is going to follow a process. A basketball player, a chef has recipes. And when we have a well-defined, well-crafted sales process and we actually adhere to it, we're not thinking about what to say or how to say it or how to do that product demo. So it opens our heart to be more authentic. So one of the keys to the balance is practice. It's just knowing your technology, knowing your content, knowing your sales skills so well that you can truly connect to the human being that's in front of you.
Okay, so let me ask you about that. I don't mean to interrupt, but this is interesting. Okay, so I use the analogy all the time. Fundamentals. You got to know what your fundamentals are, get good at them. The NBA finals going on. These star basketball players, watch them for an hour and a half before the game. Hour and a half before the game, what are they doing? They're out there shooting, passing, shooting. They're practicing fundamentals for a good hour before every single game. And what they're practicing are the basic fundamentals.
Yes.
Dribble, pass, shoot. And they're at the top of their game. I mean, these are the best players in the world, but that's what they're doing. So here's my question. In sales, what is the dribble, pass, and shoot in sales? What kind of fundamentals should we be practicing before we go into the sales process?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and I'm going to actually reframe the question, if you don't mind, a little bit.
That's what I love about Shari. If I don't like a question, I'll re-ask the question, and then I'll answer. No, that's good.
Well, that's
Reframe.
what good salespeople do, right?
That's right. That's right.
I don't know if you happen to read this book. I absolutely love it. It's by David Brooks, and it's called Character, the Road to Character. And he makes a distinction that I think is critical for anyone who wants to be successful in life. And he says there's two types of virtues. He distinguishes all virtues between two. He says there's resume virtues, which are those skills you just asked me about. What are the tactics? What's the technology? What are the how-tos of the dribbling? And we've got to have our resume virtues intact, and we've got to continually refine them. But he says, now contrast resume virtues with eulogy virtues. Eulogy virtues are, of course, what people will say about you at your funeral. Mm-hmm. Was he kind? Did he have integrity? Did he show empathy, compassion? Was he optimistic? Was the glass half full, or was it overflowing? Mm-hmm. Those are your eulogy virtues. And more than anything today, you have to not only have both, you have to practice both. Mm-hmm. So you're dribbling the skills. Okay, and that's going to be anything. I'll answer that question first. Your sales skills begin with, really understanding how to build a relationship. What is it? How do you unpack trust? I say trust is based on 5 things: empathy, reliability, competency, integrity, and vulnerability. You have to have all 5, but it begins with empathy. So how do you listen? How do you ask questions? What questions do you ask? We all know, I always say anything that can be told can be asked. We need to do a thorough discovery before we ever sell anything. Well, what are the questions you ask? How do you ask them? Those are all important. How do you build urgency without pressure? How do you isolate objections? What's a 5-step approach, a 3-step approach? How do we tell a compelling sales stories? These are all skills. That's the dribble. But then there's the skills behind the skills, which is what Heart and Sell is broken out into. The universal truths are what you need to do and who you need to be. And the who you need to be are those eulogy virtues, or the skills behind the skills. And those are as important, if not more important, than your basic resume skills. And those are characteristics or virtues. And I define the 5 most important of them in my book. One is, you mentioned it at the beginning of this podcast, it's a growth mindset. It's growing, learning all the time, particularly today. If we're not growing and learning all the time, new technologies, new customer, there's change at warp speed. So we've got to have that growth mindset, or what I call the growth equation. Second, we've got to have resilience. So we've got to have the grit and the resilience, because salespeople here know all the time, well, that's a skill behind the skill. That's being able to deal with rejection. We've got to have genuine empathy and curiosity. We've got to really care about humans. And you can build your empathy. A lot of people think, you can only practice sales skills. You can practice an instrument. You can practice sports. No, you can practice empathy. You know how? You just start listening to people in every aspect of your life.
So I envision, when you say that, I envision, because I often try to break down, and it's hard. It's easy for a basketball player, in practice and before the games or whatever, that's when they're practicing these fundamentals. So when do you practice these fundamentals in the sales process? And while you were talking, I was thinking to myself, practicing empathy, practicing listening skills, practicing those kinds of things is what you do every single moment of every single day. I envision myself in the grocery line.
Love it.
Talking to the person behind me in the grocery line, there's your opportunity to practice. How empathetic are you? How are you? What kind of listening skills are you doing? And if you have a conscious effort of that, while you're standing in the line at the grocery, not trying to sell anybody anything, you're just practicing your fundamentals, which makes you a better human being. And that's why I love the sales profession, because it puts you in a place where if you work, like you say, if you work on your eulogy things, that's really good. That's powerful. That's good. So let me ask you, do you use a CRM?
I do.
And what CRM do you use? Just
We're
like
using Nimble
Nimble.
because I
Okay.
have a relationship with John Ferrara and I love him.
So that was my next question. Why Nimble? And it's all because of a relationship. And so how do you see now, obviously you consult people
Yeah.
from all different areas, and there's good crime. There's as many CRMs today as there are
Yeah.
salespeople. I swear, it's like it's crazy. So obviously, everybody has their own unique deal. So what do you consult people on CRM use and how to implement that into the practices you talk about in your book?
Funny you should ask that. We more and more we've got one of the services we offer. We've got a very robust virtual training platform, and it's currently being used in over 40 countries. So we have, and we kind of started before it was popular to have online learning,
Mm-hmm.
and we made some mistakes and learned from them. But I think we realized a long time ago we were going to a world of one to many. And it was the only way we could reach our clients that were in other countries. So we have this very robust training and the ability to push out new content all the time. And now we're getting more and more requests. In fact, I just looked at a system yesterday of people saying, yeah, but I want your video lessons embedded in our CRM because it makes sense, right? If I'm,
Right.
after the, discovery phase or at the proposal phase, I might want a checklist of what to do next. And if a sales rep, if a deal's stuck in the pipeline, having the ability to then watch a video lesson that's exactly embedded in the CRM can be a very powerful tool. So we're just considering that. So it's a timely question.
I think part of the reason I asked you the question is you kind of touched on this in the workshop that we attended. You talked about the process of using a system that allows you to easily use all of the mediums of communication,
Yeah.
text messaging, voicemail, email, social media, et cetera, all the touch points and how important touch points are. And of course, in our business, what we do is we're all about the tangible side of it. Digital communication is obviously a very effective way, cost efficient way, if you will, to stay in touch with people, but maybe not the most effective at times in showing your genuine side, showing your authenticity, showing how much you truly care. And that's where we come in, is because we're saying, the tangible touch is really kind of what sets you apart. So now we're counseling. We have a new product called Sendogo, and Sendogo is it's basically our system. It's our integration system to current CRM. So whatever CRM you use, you can integrate with Sendogo and then have access to automated tangible touches, greeting cards and gifts.
Oh, what a wonderful idea.
To go out to people. So having that been said, and I'm not trying to sell that to you folks right now. I'm bringing that up as an example. So you, as a top end consultant out there, know now that you have a tool that not only can do all the digital stuff, but now you have a tangible aspect that sends a real genuine type of thing, like a genuine greeting card. How would you recommend people use something like that? Or would you recommend they use
Well,
it?
I just love that, and your question's a good one. There's sort of this debate in the sales world right now between digital, inbound versus outbound, digital versus human touch, and I think it's all of the above. And I think we have to have an omni-channel approach. And I'll get back to your question specifically. It depends on your customers. I mean, right now, I'm guessing. I mean, this is so funny. You live in Salt Lake City, yes?
Yes.
I live in Park City, 35 minutes away from you. We have both been so busy. If we didn't have this digital form of communication called Zoom,
Right.
we wouldn't have had the opportunity to give each other a virtual hug, which we really did at the beginning of us meeting. So I think you have to have all of the above. Now, I will say, what I love about your idea of the cards and the chocolates and the gifts, This is a lost art. And I'll tell you, it is a huge lost art with newer sales reps. I read in Shari Turkle's book, Reclaiming the Conversation, as digital and technology use goes up, empathy is actually decreased in first generation smartphone users by 40%. Wow. So I think a tool like yours, it gives them a tool so they can be more high touch. I mean, look, let's face it. You and I both held up these.
Yep.
I don't want a book on a Kindle. I've got them for when I travel, but I want to be writing in it. And I got the yellow in your book and I got the Post-its and I want to feel it and I want to smell it. Yesterday, I got a greeting card from a gentleman. I got him a job interview with a client. He ended up not taking the job. It was a handwritten greeting card. I love this guy. I am loyal to him for the rest of my life. This is what you do. You're bringing the real back in. And I think if you can tie it to a CRM, it's like I was saying at the beginning, you're combining systems and relationship, which salespeople need. They need the process. And now you've got the relationship built in. I think it's genius.
So, yeah, I mean, we're excited. We're very excited about those kinds of things. A great way for us to reach out and help the sales profession with some of the unique things that we offer. So when you started, you were in the hospitality. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you were like doing the timeshare kind of stuff, right? So yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So in my mind, I'd like you to kind of walk our listeners through I always like to take my guests through the beginning days, the struggling days, the where all the lessons were learned days, the rubber meets the road days, the mistake days, and you were in a tough, the hospitality industry is not easy. Just give us a little background of what that was and what you learned while you were doing that.
Oh gosh, I learned so much. Now, when I first started, and I'm going to go back to, I was with Marriott, and Marriott was different than sort of the typical timeshare, right? So you had a major $8 billion brand, and their whole goal was, most people sort of saw timeshare over here as this high pressure, difficult sale with no value proposition. And you had Marriott over here, an $8 billion brand. We're in Salt Lake with Bill Marriott, Dick Marriott, and they needed to protect the integrity of their brand. So they knew, and again, back then, you didn't have Airbnb, your choices were very limited. So Marriott actually came out with a stellar product that I still think is a great product today. Now, the value proposition isn't quite the same because you've got so many other options and variables. But Marriott was really special. And they, were selling a vacation ownership product, but they had to balance this urgency, it was still a today sale, with needing to maintain the integrity of their brand, because if somebody didn't buy their timeshare, they wanted them to come back to their hotels. And a lot of the market was into their hotels. So I had, and my whole thing, what I got known for is everybody said it had to be a today sale. And I said, why? What if I maintained the relationship when they said no? And you'll love this, because back then I had recipe cards. And if the customer said no, no one else did this, I'd say, okay, I'd get to the real objection. I'd build this amazing relationship. And I did your 80-20 rule. I'd call them, hey, how are the kids? How does the swim meet? I'd just call them up. And I broke every record Marriott ever had, because I didn't buy into this thing that you had to get it on the day. So I became a superstar seller at Marriott. I had a great mentor, by the way. I didn't do it alone. And then they had me, train all around. And then when I went out on my own and started a company, all the big brands in hospitality hired me, from Hilton to Four Seasons to Hyatt. I was sort of the one making sure the big brands had integrity. And then, of course, from there expanded into many other verticals. So, but I had a very good experience. And there were certainly a lot of failures that I could point to. And we learned through failure. And I started my company in 1997, and I could do a whole seminar on failures that I had. Fortunately, now there's been more successes than failures, so maybe that's why we're talking today.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think you and I have a mutual friend that you probably met in that industry, Linda Clemens.
No,
Linda Clemens,
worked
yeah.
for me for 8 years. She
Is
was one
that?
of my trainers.
She's a sweetheart. She's
Oh
an
my God,
absolute
she is
sweetheart.
talented.
Yeah, she's a dear friend, and she actually was an MC at some of our events of several years ago. But she's just an amazing lady. So I just thought about that just now.
Yeah, no, Linda, back in the day, we had mostly a live training model. I had 10, 15 trainers, and the trainers would go out all over the world and, train the Levitin group system. We created a system of selling very specific to relationship selling, emotional selling. And Linda was our top trainer for years. I've got to tell you a funny story about Linda. So she went to one of my customers in the Caribbean. And when she got off the plane, they thought she was me, which if you've seen Linda, that's really funny.
Right.
And it just goes to show you, she's dark skinned, I'm light skinned. She says, Shari, that was the biggest compliment in the world. That means our energies aligned.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, she's
great. She's got great energy. It's a lot of fun. So, I mean, it's just incredible stuff. And again, as I was reading through your book, I mean, I could just, we could do a 5-hour podcast just talking about some of the features. I love the one chapter 7, anything that can be told can be asked. Anything that can be told can be asked. And this is a big thing that we talk about a lot is, ask questions. It's a matter of assessment. I call it assessment versus pitch. So if you're asking lots of questions, you're assessing needs, which shows your genuine caring of people. So it's assessment versus pitch. So talk to us a little bit about that. Anything that you can say, you can ask. Talk to us a little bit about that chapter.
Well, again, all the universal truths, I might add, I call them universal because they're the same in your personal life as they are in sales. Better people make better salespeople, not the other way around, right?
Right.
So that's I've learned as a parent. I have a 14-year-old, and I know you have a daughter. You talked about her in your book, who's 15. You learn as a parent that it's much more effective to ask questions than to tell somebody what to do or make accusations, same as a manager. When it comes to sales, I think the biggest mistake salespeople make is we don't listen, we don't ask questions, and when we do, we don't ask the right questions. And so all kinds of major problems happen. Particularly, you're so excited about your product, you want to rush to that demo, right?
Yeah.
And I jokingly from the stage call that premature demonstration syndrome, right? And so many salespeople do that, or if it's a model and they're showing real estate, they just can't wait to show that model. The problem is as a sales rep, you probably have 1,000 hours worth of information about the nuances of your product or service and all the benefits and how it can be used. Now, if I don't ask questions first, I can't tailor make my sales conversation to what's important to the client in front of me. Right. And so I can end up selling features and benefits that aren't important to them. If I'm selling a development, I'm going to sell a golf course to somebody who doesn't golf. If I'm selling software, if I'm selling a CRM, I'm going to end up talking about features that they'd never use. And they're thinking, well, I must be paying for this somehow.
Right.
But it's more than that. And the crux of the chapter is this, and I'll just say this, that when we ask the right questions, you talk about this a lot in your book, Cody, we get to the heart or the emotional reason why somebody would buy your product or service. I delineate into first level, second level, third level questions, or what I now call skin, bone, and heart questions. And if we only stay at the skin level with a client, we're commoditized. I can show a feature that everybody else has, but if I get into the heart of what drives this human being and what's going to drive their decision making, what are their specific problems, now I've formed this amazing bond. And I understand what makes them tick. And that in and of itself is going to move the sale faster than anything.
Yeah, no question about it. It's fun to watch people pick up on and learn that process as you go. You know, we have the chance to train a lot of our independent reps at Send Out Cards is one of my companies, and we have the chance to see them progress and grow. And it's fun to watch them shift because you see that because
Yeah.
we have that demonstration syndrome here too. It's like everybody's like, oh well, I got to show you how cool this is, you know.
Yeah, right.
But when they shift to where they start to ask questions and show genuine concern, and you've probably read in my book, I had examples of that, you know,
Yeah.
examples of how you do that in regards to our product. It's fun to watch that shift where people start to see it. And the best side effect of that is you end up creating a genuine friend. I mean, when people know that you care about their needs more than your sell, you create friendship. I mean, you create friendship, and that's what's cool. So, all right. So here's what I like to do. I always like to end these shows by giving you the floor. So this is your opportunity. You know, I ask specific questions. I always like to end by having you just take the floor and whatever it is you want to discuss, whatever you want to share with us to close us out. It is now Shari's time. So go ahead.
Well, I guess I could talk about some of the biggest lessons that I've learned. And I would point to two things. You asked earlier about mistakes. And I call them the four demons that get in our way, because I think most people want to do the right thing. They know what to do. They've read what to do. But there's this default behavior that we all fall into. Something, I always say, I promise I'm not going to eat that third cookie, but I ate it anyway. I know I'm supposed to listen more than I talk, but I talk too much anyway. And as a sales rep, as a sales leader, you're going to make mistakes all the time. The most important thing my mentor told me is you can lose the deal, but don't ever lose the lesson.
Yeah.
And look, I've been doing this for 30 years. I train it. I teach it. I make mistakes every day. And in my company, we don't call them mistakes. We say, all right, way to go. We're never going to make that mistake again. Oh, we celebrate our mistakes. Google does this. It's called Moonshot Factory, where they give people incentives for failure. And I just want to say that failure is inevitable. I'm a skier. If you don't fall down on that mountain, you're not skiing hard enough.
Right.
And as a rep, go out. I call it go out on the skinny branches. Take chances. Be authentic. Don't do what the rest of the pack does. Be yourself. Take chances. Ski hard. Play hard. And you're going to make a mistake, and that's part of the game. And that's what makes you grow. And that's what makes you a better person. And you pick yourself back up. You learn from it. And hopefully you don't make that mistake next time.
Wow.
Have courage. Have courage.
What a great way to summarize everything. I sure appreciate you and your message that you have. It's incredible. Shari Levitin Group. So where do people go to find out more about your services, your consulting services?
You can email us. Our website is, my email is Shari@ShariLevitinGroup.com. You can go to our website, Shari Levitin Group. And I'm very active on LinkedIn. So I do a free video lesson every Sunday night at about 8:00. I have free videos. That's my 80/20.
Yeah, that's great.
And I don't even sell you anything.
Yeah. So where do you get the videos?
You just connect with me on LinkedIn, and literally every Sunday night on my feed, I'll post a video, and it's wherever I happen to be. So if I'm traveling to a client in New York, it'll be in New York. I've done them on paddle boards. I've done them skiing. It's whatever I happen to be doing that week.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I'll make sure I tune into that. And I'm sure you can get the book on Amazon.
Yes, sir.
So make sure you get to Amazon.com, look up Shari Levitin, Heart and Sell. Make sure you get a copy of that book. Shari, yes.
And this book. If you
and
don't
that
have it
book,
in this
Power of Human Connection. There's definitely some great synergies between the books. Shari, thank you so much. Right here from Park City, Utah. Appreciate the time that you've taken with us today. And hopefully we'll get a chance to be on the same speaker format here soon. And I'd love to spend some time with you.
You too, Cody. Thank you so much.
All right.
Such a
Thanks,
pleasure.
everybody. This is, again, the Relationship Marketing Podcast with Cody B. Today's guest, Shari Levitin, did a wonderful job with us. Get out there and be authentic. Be true. Be genuine. Go up on the skinny branches or the little branches, you said. Take chances. Be you. Have fun. Do your thing. Dare to be successful. Thanks, everybody. Take care. We'll see you on another episode. We'll see you now.
Thanks, Cody.
If you have enjoyed this episode of the Relationship Marketing Podcast with Cody B, be sure to subscribe to the show and leave a review so that together we can get this message, The Power of Human Connection, out to the world. You can find Cody's new book, The Power of Human Connection, on Amazon or the Send Out Cards gift store.